My boyfriend's ex left a note about how manipulative he was. When I asked him, he lost it, trapped me, and wrecked my stuff. So I walked away. Now he's my problem no more. Throwaway account because I don't want my boyfriend to find this. I posted this elsewhere but thought this subreddit could help too. I 28 female and my boyfriend 30 male who we'll call Steve have been together for 2 years and have been living together for 8 months. I was cleaning our apartment when I found a note in the back of a cabinet. For context's sake, I'll copy it below. Dear Steve's future girlfriend, I know it's you reading this because he'd never clean back here. I'm putting this here because I'm leaving him soon and want to warn you about him. He will not clean. He will not listen. He will make everything feel like it's your fault. It's not your fault, he's just an incompetent man. I'm leaving him, I suggest you do the same. Best wishes, Natalia name changed. I read the note and brought it to show to him and hear his response. He immediately ripped it up and said not to listen to it, that she was crazy and untrustworthy. I told him that the fact that he hasn't found it in the 5 years since they broke up is a red flag to me because it does mean he's never cleaned back there and that he has been cleaning less and less since I moved in. He told me that it wasn't a problem before the note. This is just his ex continuing to manipulate and ruin his life, and I was letting it work. We continued to argue along the same lines, and I eventually left to spend the night at a friend's place. Steve has been a great boyfriend so far. He gets along with my family. He has given me gifts and flowers and always tells me how much he loves me. He's not wrong that the cleaning hasn't really been brought up before. The note made me realize it had been less and less, and that we needed to have a full conversation. He texted me afterwards saying he's sorry that I felt like I had to leave, but that it's an asshole move for me to take a note over our 2-year relationship and to leave him and our pets alone. I don't know what to do or what to believe right now. I'm contemplating trying to find and reach out to Natalia. Her name in real life is pretty unique, so I think I could find her. Steve thinks I should come back home and let it go, that his past should affect our future. I feel like I could be the asshole because everything Steve has said about Natalia does make it sound like she was manipulative and petty throughout their relationship, but I don't know what to trust. Edit, I realized I didn't clarify enough about the points, especially the cleaning. Thought I'd add it here. When we moved in together 8 months ago, the cleaning was 50-50. Since then, he's been doing things less and less, and I'd say it's at like 70-30, maybe 60-40. If he listens to me right away, it depends on the week. I have to remind him to do things like bring his plates to the sink or take out the trash, and I didn't have to before. The dishes will pile up unless I do them, to the point he's had leftover food mold on the plates. I'm not a confrontational person, so I was just asking him to fix it when it came up. The note made me reflect on it more and try to have an actual full conversation, and I will say I didn't feel listened to when I talked to him about it. I tried to use the note to start a conversation about cleaning, and he got so stuck on that I was listening to his ex instead of him that he wouldn't listen to what I think are valid concerns. He thinks I'm letting the note have confirmation bias, so no matter what he says, I'll think he's in the wrong. Also, I didn't leave him permanently. This all happened yesterday, and I only spent one night at a friend's because I didn't feel like our conversation was going anywhere last night, and he wouldn't let me sleep until I let it go. I'm going back today and wanted to get advice and feedback before I do. Edit 2. I appreciate all these comments with advice. I'm heading back to our place now. My plan is to first apologize for immediately bringing him the note without thinking of his feelings, and validate that it's hard to have an ex's message found. That being said, you're all right that I've been letting the cleaning stuff get away. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to ask him repeatedly to clean. It was pointed out to me that he should have cleaned the shelves during his move from his ex's place. The fact that it hasn't been touched in 5 years is forcing me to take the not seriously. I don't want to throw away 2 years, so I am going to ask him to come up with some clear cleaning expectations with me and designated chores. I will make it clear that cleaning is absolutely a deal breaker for me. It's his decision on how he wants to respond. I'll try to update you all. Again, thank you so much for the advice. Update 1. I followed your advice from the last post and tried to have a calm discussion with Steve. When I apologized for confronting him with the note, he seemed to take that as an admission of guilt and refused to listen to anything else. I had come up with a list of specific instances of not cleaning like many of you suggested, and he said I was using lists just like his manipulative ex did. So yeah, the crazy ex thing you all said was a red flag was definitely true. When I realized the conversation wasn't going anywhere, he even tried to block me from leaving. That's when I knew it was done and left immediately. 2 years down the drain, but I'm glad I had the wake-up call before it was too late. I will let him cool off, and then will ask my brother to come with me to grab my things while he's not there. He has a strict work schedule, so I think it'll work out. I am planning on leaving a note there, but probably a little longer with the advice to not show it to him. I'm leaving it in the exact same place, so if he doesn't learn his lesson about cleaning, it'll come to haunt him. All he has to do is clean. The biggest surprise out of all of this is that I didn't reach out to Natalia. She reached out to me. Apparently, he borrowed his friend's phone to call her, screaming that she's ruining his life still. The fact that she blocked him and he still had her number memorized just further confirms he was the crazy ex, not her. Natalia found me on social media and wanted to make sure I was okay, and was especially concerned that he'd gaslight me like he tried with her. I thanked her for leaving me the note and saving me time. We scheduled coffee for Thursday afternoon. I wanted to thank you all again for the advice, especially the person who posted the Love is Respect website. I took the healthy relationship quiz after our conversation, and it wasn't great. You called out how he was weaning me into an unhealthy relationship so well. For now, my friend said I can stay until I find a new place. I have emergency savings and a decent job, so I'm in a privileged place when it comes to this messy breakup, and am just trying to feel grateful for that. Just posted my final update separately. Thank you all for everything. Update 2. As you can tell by my original post, I like to do things right away. It was definitely a mistake to bring him the note right away, but doing the things I did this morning right away was not a mistake, as it allowed me to save my pets. First, I want to respond to the comments saying I broke up a 2-year relationship over a note and chores. No, I broke up a 2-year relationship because when I tried to come up with solutions to an unequal situation, his response was to yell and try to convince me there was no problem except me. The final straw was when he physically blocked me from leaving the house after he was screaming at me. That is not okay, and no one should stay with a man who responds to conflict like that. The actual update, I wound up texting the post to Natalia last night, and she thought it was great. She, like some of you, asked me about the pets. For context, one of the things Steve and I connected on was our love for little creatures. It's why I thought he was such a great guy, because if he could take such intricate care of his lizard, he could do the same with me. I was very wrong. He has one lizard he bought before me, and then we bought 2 frogs together. I have a snake I brought with me when I moved in. I was planning on waiting until he cooled down to go grab my things and the frogs and snake, thinking he would never hurt them, but Natalia changed my mind. She said he could get destructive when he's mad and was concerned about the safety of my little guys. I immediately knew I couldn't wait until later this week and reached out for a meeting with the landlord for early this morning. I wound up FaceTiming with Natalia last night, and we had a long discussion. Natalia is a lawyer and told me that in our state, landlords are required to let me get out of the lease I signed in cases of domestic violence. She also told me that his yelling, gaslighting, and refusing to let me leave are all types of abuse. It's definitely hard for me to sit with that, but the Love is Respect relationship quiz helped me also realize that a bit more last night. Apparently, his constant messaging and control over what I wore and when were signs of abuse too. Anyway, this morning Natalia volunteered to come talk to the landlord with me alongside my brother. As soon as he heard the word lawyer, he was on top of it and said I could break the lease, but would still have to pay for all of August, even though I'm leaving 3 days early. I felt like that was fair. He also messaged Steve to say the apartment needed to be empty for emergency maintenance all day today so I could pack my things. Steve messaged back that he was at work all day and wouldn't be home until 6 p.m. When I got into the apartment, it was a mess. He had broken my dishes that I had brought with me on the ground and left the shards laying about. My clothes were ripped up and scattered around our room. It was disgusting and heartbreaking. He left his lizard alone, but opened the tank doors for our frogs and my snake. Luckily, the frogs were still chilling in their enclosure, but my snake had gotten loose. This made me the most mad, as she could have gotten cut on the broken plates. I feel so fortunate that she was just hiding in the closet corner and I was able to pack her up safely in her enclosure again. All my things are packed, and I'm writing this as my brother drives me back to my friend's house right now. Natalia told me that she actually left 3 notes, 1 in the cabinet, 1 on the underside of the vacuum, and 1 in the crumb catcher of the toaster. While we were there, we checked to see if the notes were still there. The 1 on the vacuum was, but it looks like Steve did clean out the crumb catcher at least once in the past 5 years. He never told me he had already found a note in our conversations, so it caught me by surprise. Natalia and I left the vacuum note as is and replaced the cabinet one. I wasn't comfortable leaving my name on a new note, so my addition was a handout on healthy versus unhealthy relationships and a QR code to the quiz that woke me up. I'll put it in the comments. I'm not sure if I can have an outside link. Natalia said if he didn't find the notes in those 5 years, especially after the move, he probably won't find them again. I'm inclined to agree, especially given he did find one, but then didn't even clean the rest of the house to see if there was any more. Steve doesn't make sense to me, and seeing the state of the apartment really woke me up to the fact that I have no idea who he is. The Steve I knew would never put animals in danger, but I don't think I really ever knew Steve. To the people saying it's pathetic that I broke up my relationship because of chores and Reddit, I encourage you to reflect on the subtle ways that abuse starts. This Reddit thread woke me up to it and gave me the resources to get out safely before it got any worse. I also made an appointment for a therapist. I'm very lucky that my job has good insurance, so I should be able to work through this relationship, and am hoping to focus on boundaries and my people-pleasing habits, so I never find myself in this situation again. To the people wishing that Natalia and I would get together, we had a good laugh about it. Natalia is engaged to a wonderful man who cleans, listens, and reflects. She said there's a phenomenon that when people break up with their awful ex, their soulmate can quickly follow. I'm hoping that's true. Regardless, I do think I got a good friend out of this, especially since Natalia is a snake mom too. This is my final update. I hope if you learn anything from my experience, it's that abuse doesn't start right away. First, there's love-bombing gifts and pretty words, and then slowly they test how much you'll put up with. You should never have to put up with anything, especially moldy freaking plates. TLDR. After ending things due to his behavior, Steve destroyed our apartment and let my snake loose, but I was able to get off the lease and get my things with Natalia's help. Now I am safe and am looking for a new place to live. Story 2. My boyfriend is going to propose. But I, 29 female, do not feel loved anymore and am questioning the relationship. My boyfriend and I have been together for a very long time. We dated from the time we're 16 to 22. We then broke up for a while but got back together when we were 25. We are both 29 now. We live together, and I know he's going to ask me to marry him soon, so I want to get my feelings in order before anything happens. I love him, I really do, but I feel sorta unloved. I know once couples become comfortable with each other and live together, the spark or whatever goes away, but I don't like feeling like this. I still make an effort. I ask him how his day went. I'm affectionate. I put out, so to speak. A thing that really bothers me is when I say something, a lot of the time he ignores me. When I bring it up, he says that he didn't hear me or that he was busy. For example, I'll say, "Did you see there's going to be a strike tomorrow?" And I won't get a reply. I'll wait 10 seconds, still no reply. Then I'll ask, "Hello, did you hear what I said?" And he'll go, or grunt in response. He does this often, just abrupt responses after ignoring me and me having to repeat myself. I'd understand if he did this, if I was talking his ear off, but I'm not even a talkative person. Yet when he talks about anything, I pay attention, respond properly, validate his opinions, and reassure him when he needs me to. Affection-wise, I always give him hugs and kisses. He hardly ever does this anymore without me asking. I compliment him and tell him that he looks handsome. He hasn't complimented me in any shape or form in probably over a year now that I think about it. I still look the same looks-wise. I haven't gained weight or anything. Not that that's a reason to stop loving someone, but you know how some people are, so I don't know what changed. Have things just become stale? Is this what inevitably happens? This whole situation has been troubling me for a while, but I'm not sure what to do. Our anniversary is in 2 months' time, and his sister accidentally let it slip that he's going to propose. If it weren't for that, I'd think that we've been together for too long and he's now sick of me. I tried talking to a few of my friends who are already married, and all I got were varied versions of, "That's how men are." He wasn't like this before. He would pay attention to me, talk to me, and overall I just felt more liked, you know? Now it just kind of feels one-sided. The one time I attempted to kind of bring it up, I opened with, "Do you still like me? Because sometimes it doesn't really feel like it." And he replied with, "If I didn't like you, why would I be here?" I could tell it was going to end up in an argument, so I just let it go after that. How do I handle this situation? I want to bring it up with him, but I don't know how to do it. I guess I'm not really good at articulating how I feel. Or should I not say anything because this is just the way relationships go? Please advise me because I'm a little lost. TLDR. My boyfriend and I have dated for over 10 years altogether. He is going to propose soon, but I'm not completely happy as I feel unloved. He's somewhat abrupt and not affectionate anymore, and it's making me question whether things aren't ideal or whether it's a normal aging relationship. Update. I thought I'd provide an update. Thank you all for the advice, I appreciate it. So the day after I posted here, I talked to him. I told him that I feel a bit disconnected, and I'd like it if he paid more attention to me and talked to me a little more. He just said okay, but I could tell that he wasn't interested. The next day there was no change, and I was a bit annoyed, so I spoke to him again. I said that I'm starting to feel lonely in the relationship, and I feel like he ignores me and isn't affectionate as he used to be before. But all he said was that he didn't want to talk about it. I said that it was important and that I might want to end things if we can't talk about this. Only then did he actually pay attention. He said that he ignores me because he's tired. I understand that work is tiring, but he practically ignores me all the time. And as far as the affection and attention, he said, I don't know. Things just change, you know. I explained that I understood all of that, but I needed more, that maybe it was unreasonable for me to want that. And maybe the type of relationship I want doesn't exist, but I would not be happy in this relationship if things stayed this way. He then said he'd try more, that he'd hug me every morning before work, try to respond more when I spoke, and give me a compliment now and then. I didn't like how it felt like a list of chores he had to do, but at least he was willing to try, so I agreed. I also asked if there was anything I could work on for him, but he said there was nothing he could think of. By the end of the first week, he already seemed annoyed with the hugging. He'd let out a big sigh, and it seemed like he was doing it begrudgingly. This felt awful for me, like I'm forcing this man to give me a crumb of affection. But at least he was doing it, I guessed. My breaking point happened last weekend when we were getting ready to go to a party. It was his friend's party, and it was a fancy affair, so I had to get really dressed up. His niece and her boyfriend were also going, but came to our place because she needed help with her hair. She has gorgeous butt-length hair and wanted to curl it. As soon as her boyfriend saw her after getting ready, he said, "Wow, you look so beautiful. You look like a mermaid," and hugged her. No prompting, no asking, he just did it. That's when my boyfriend called me aside and said, "I guess I have to compliment you now, right?" That was it for me. I said that I was feeling sick and needed to go to the bathroom. We were all supposed to leave together, but I stalled for a few minutes and told them I was sorry and they should leave, and when I felt better, we'd meet them there. As soon as they left, I spoke to him. I said that I was sorry I wasted his time, and I was so sorry that I didn't notice all of this sooner. I said that I appreciate his effort, and even though he was doing what I asked, it was not enough for me. I don't want to feel like a chore for someone. I understand that the honeymoon period puppy love thing doesn't last forever, but I want someone to just like me, to like me naturally and instinctively as a person. After explaining that, I told him that I was sorry again and that I was ending things. He started freaking out and told me to think about it some more, but I was sure of my choice. He then said that he understands and he's sorry and asked if I would still go with him to the party as our last night out, and also because he was going to be embarrassed to go alone. I felt bad because I didn't mean to do this on this day, and I didn't want to leave him hanging, so I agreed. I really didn't want to, but I went and we managed to keep up appearances. Then in the middle of dinner, he proposed. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do and felt trapped. I didn't want to embarrass him or myself, so I said yes. Everybody was congratulating us and I was in hell. It all felt so awful, and it was difficult to not start crying out of frustration. In addition to us technically being broken up, he knows I hate being the center of attention in public like that. When we got home, I asked how he could do such a thing. How could he put me in such a terrible position? He said, "I thought maybe proposing would change your mind." I said that it didn't, and I just said yes because it would have been awkward if I hadn't. I gave him the ring back, packed some of my stuff, and left. He was freaking out, asking me what he was going to tell everyone, but I told him to say whatever he wants. That I changed my mind, I'm flaky, whatever. I was emotionally exhausted and didn't care anymore. I feel awful, and I wish I could have handled that whole situation better or smarter, but I panicked and now we're here. Everyone is probably going to think I'm a jerk, but I honestly didn't know what to do. Anyway, things are over now and I'm staying with my sister until I gather my bearings. He's been texting me trying to convince me to reconsider. I honestly feel a little lost because he's the only boyfriend I've ever had, and he was such a big part of my life, but I know I made the right choice. TLDR boyfriend. Half-heartedly tried to change and it did not work. I broke up with him. He tried to salvage the relationship by proposing prematurely, but I still went through with the breakup.